claimed that were forged signatures. Maybe you remember some of the allegations.
Worship and the body politic should not participate in partisan politics.
Pakateka n'abakwata Egypto, its preoccupation now is to give a good service to the people of Zambia.
Kuzisa abana bantu kuba nili pano so nilabana kunyumba huko so pano kweli kapo pano tunakilipia ndiraba.
For us, we only ride on the facts.
Respect the decision of the party. Whoever they are going to choose, but seeking our numbers can go a short.
You were once members of the party.
Yes.
But it's easier for you to come back.
Ndiyopotera msogoleri wameneakeringa msogoleri wamenanganya pali future.
Aya marali enango baoda abantu kukwera kusogolo, but UPP is trying to show a difference.
The issue I'll never rest until we see justice served.
Munomotwaikala mwa Julius munokusekelela unyemba wati twachula sana amavoti nga yaisa baisa ba MP bafukama bakunkula tukosele nikotereni ifo tukakunsha improve tuleba botera tolale tafe declare tinaga wina batisitachila.
It's a motion that attempts to destabilize the governance of this country, if at all, by whatever misfortune it succeeded.
Good evening. We continue with our program guide for today, Wednesday. At 18 hours to 18:30 hours, we have The Society, a program we bring to you issues of the society. At 19 hours, we have Kanizatu. These are adverts. At 19:30 hours, we have Music Mix, Praise and Worship. A moment again to get to praise and worship your God. At 20 hours, we have Revelation TV News. This is a program of current affairs. At 12:30 hours, we have Kanizatu. These are adverts. At 21 hours to 21:30 hours, we have My Story Must Change Prayer Line, a program of deliverance. At 22 hours to 23 hours, we have My Story Must Change service, where the great Son of God brings to you the Word of God. At 23:30 hours, we have Kanizatu. Thank you so much for watching Revelation TV, delivering God's people.
Altars are a point of sacrifice. Altars are a point of connection. There is no life without an altar. Must be an altar. There must be a chipairo. Hallelujah. And I ate another from the altar, saying that even so, hallelujah, even so, Lord God Almighty, true and righteous are your judgments.
Say something about my situation. Say something about my condition. You are the God who never quiets. You are the God who says something. Open your mouth, child of God. This morning, Shamile Kereko, Landeni Mochimolesa, Wamilalo, Bantu Yadia Mulai Komika Kulu Busubo, Bamupashi Mushiromenda, Bantu Muvala Musharama Yesu Christo, Idia Shirano Nomo Miwanu, Tawaka Chimochine. Les spectateurs, la distance n'est pas une barrière au Saint-Esprit. Connectez-vous sous ses mains. Le diable vous a troublé toute l'année, mais bien vaut la fin d'une chose que son commencement. Yes.
Claim that we have forged signatures. Maybe you remember some of the allegations.
While chief and the body policy should not participate in partisan politics.
Pakateka n'abakwata Injito, his preoccupation now is to give a good service to the people of Zambia.
Thank you for joining us and welcome to Society, which comes to you every Wednesday right here on Liberation TV, where we get to discuss issues affecting the nation. And this evening, I'm featuring Mr. Charles Chanda, who's the president for UPPZ, and we're looking at the UPPZ projections for 2019, and we discuss a number of issues concerning the pending Sesheke by-elections. Also look at the dialogue issues, the newly proposed mine tax regime, as well as the issue of the 12 opposition political parties who have formed an alliance, as well as the FISIP and social cash transfer. And for you to take part, remember you're live on GoTV, channel 96, on Talkstar, channel 458, and the MOV TV decoder, channel 43, and we're streaming live on the page for Mr. Charles Chanda, and also on our page on Liberation TV. I'm your host, Lovely Kayombo. Mr. President, welcome to Liberation TV once again.
Good evening, Mr. Kayombo, and good evening to all the viewers of Live TV.
Okay. I think before we go into the nitty-gritties of our interview, maybe just briefly, what are your projections as a party in 2019?
We have set very high goals for the party, and this is a year we intend to recruit about 500,000 young people. The program has already started. We have embarked on the Back to School campaign, and things seem to be going according to plan. We are concentrating on the young people, especially the non-school going youths. We have a lot of dropouts, grade 7 dropouts, grade 9 failures and dropouts, and of course those that have not been able to complete their grade 12. So we are focusing on young people because you need to understand Zambia is currently having about 66% of young people. And so we cannot leave them out. Whatever programs the country may be having, we must be thinking about the youth. I mean, I'm not saying we don't have old people, but you get into town. It's very difficult to meet an old man with gray hair. Very, very difficult. So that shows you that this generation is comprising of young people and they need attention. So we are tapping into the young people, and apart from that, we want to solidify, especially areas where we have had by-elections. Things seem to be working in our favor, and we are doing everything that we can to ensure that we get more people. Mobilization is there. We have managed to have provincial leaders in all the 10 provinces, and good enough, we have also introduced shadow provincial ministers, and we have 10 shadow provincial ministers, and they are working. So it's a year that we are really seeing UPPZ on ground, and I know that we should be able to achieve our goals.
Okay. Coming to the issue of the Sesheke parliamentary by-election, which the parties are participating, and they fielded a candidate on the, I think 12 February, this next month, that's when the elections will take place. And I believe you've been the constituents for some time trying to mobilize and campaign for your candidate. Maybe what's the update in terms of how the campaigns are going, and how's the ground? Is there a fair playing field for all parties participating in this election?
It's unfortunate that this afternoon violence erupted, and it's between PF and UPND. I do hope that the leaders of these political parties will not add salt to injury, but will bring their cadres to order so that we can have a free and fair election that is void of violence. It is possible. We can be able to have free and fair elections. And this is my concern, you know, where we are not able to live as brothers and sisters. I mean, look at Sesheke. It doesn't make sense that these people that have never experienced violence, because I mean, it's one village. How can we have all of a sudden violence? It is this thing of importing cadres from various towns into Sesheke, and that is a problem. We are importing unruly cadres. We are importing mafias and thugs, and this is not fair. It's not fair for the people of Sesheke. These are peace lovers. They've never had a fight. Talk about political violence. Why should we introduce political violence just because we are not able to see eye to eye? Of course, every party is blaming the other party. This one is blaming the other party. But remember, it takes two people to fight. And your attitude and your response does matter a lot. So I'm appealing to the presidents of the two political parties. Let us learn to be Zambians. I mean, we are in this motherland. Why should we fight over a by-election? It doesn't, for me, really, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. We want to endanger innocent lives. You want to make the police now to work. There's no need to stimulate police work. Why should you bring up violence? Or is it because you feel that the police in Sesheke, they have been too quiet, they've been too humble, they've not been doing anything, so you stir up violence? You want to see if the police force in Sesheke works. I think that should not be the case. So I'm worried, but I'm hoping that normality should be able to return. So that's about Sesheke. Otherwise, I'm hoping that we should be able to have free and fair elections. That's my wish.
In terms of the response from the people in Sesheke to UPPZ, how has it been so far?
Now, you need to understand the complexity of the life in Sesheke. Now, Sesheke is a border town. And being a border town, remember, we have a number of our people who are earning a living by virtue of living in a border town. Now, we have some problems there. And I'll give you a good example. When you go to Katima Mulilo, we've got the no man's land. There is a place that is a no man's land. Our Zambian taxi drivers are harassed there. And there has been no one to talk for them. And yet, that is a no man's land. Their Namibian counterparts, they operate without, any problem. So what we are saying is we need a voice, and it is that aspect of looking for a voice that now comes into play. What kind of candidate is able to help? Look at Sesheke, for instance. There's a problem of electricity. Electricity goes anytime. It's like they have planted a dead ZESCO staff there. It's unfortunate that our colleagues, of all the members they could pick, they went to pick somebody from ZESCO. And these are the people that are causing blackouts. So already you can see that this is an organization, an institution that has failed. Then you go and pick one of the failures to become the MP. What is the person going to do? And to add salt to injury, the same MP they've taken, what he did is, there was a transformer in Nalisa village, which was supposed to save the people of Nalisa. And what does he do? He had to go and uproot it. And he took it to his own village. So, Nalisa, no more. Then you go to Maswewa. So, now what we are saying is, that's the kind of MP you go and get, the one that does not regard other villagers. But it's part of their choice. But then, so what I'm trying to bring out is, so you have ZESCO electricity problem. Then apart from that, we also have a challenge in terms of infrastructure, there's been no concern by the Ministry of Education, especially with regard to schools. Look at Sesheke Secondary School. Look at where teachers are living. Nobody cares. Look at the city center. Are you aware that it is one of the few towns in Zambia that has got no dustbin? Not one, the whole town. So I'm wondering, when we have this clean up campaign that the president declared, I don't know where the people throw their rubbish. So the whole town, and you've got councillors there. Are you telling me that you cannot buy a dustbin? You must wait for CDF money to buy a dustbin. So that is why when we were going to get someone to fight for the people of Sesheke, we had to pick a candidate that is a seasoned candidate. He has been with the post office since 1987. He has been involved in the union since 1988 till 2015. So this is somebody who knows the rights of workers. When the rights are infringed upon, he knows how to fight. He can fight for the taxi drivers. He knows how to ensure that sanity is restored. Look at the markets. Go to Katima Mlilo market. When it is rain season and it's raining, the shops inside, they close because they have failed to put up a shelter for a market. So there has been no concern. Apart from that, look at water. Zambezi River passes through Sesheke, and there's no water. Because you're not going to give me an excuse of, no, we don't have boreholes. No, the issue here is that there is water. You have a council that has failed to just give the people of Sesheke water. So those are some of the challenges, and we are saying, as UPPZ, we can do something. The response has been quite overwhelming because we have a candidate that is known, not just by the civil society, but look at the civil servants, look at everybody, the church people. They know our candidate, Victor Kalimokwa, and we are hoping that if people can vote with their senses, people can vote with their minds, they should be able to cast a vote on a candidate that can bring a change in the entire city of Sesheke.
Okay. Now coming to the issue of national dialogue, I think on the 18th of January 2019, on Friday, there was a launch of the dialogue process by the church, of which you are part and parcel of the launch at here in Lusaka. And the ZCID, the previous day, they did mention that they will not attend that launch because that this impasse between them and the church. Maybe what's your view as UPPZ regarding this whole process?
There is something that I am worried with. Are you aware that we have been dealing with the dialogue as a process ever since we started? Today, no. The Commonwealth Secretary General. Today is this. That has been the story. And now, here comes the CID. We are going to do it. The church comes in. The question still comes back. What are we fighting for? What are we dialoguing about? What is it that is in the offer? What are the benefits for the people to lead the dialogue? Is there something that maybe we don't know? Why everybody is pushing to get into this? Now, I respect the three mother church bodies. I respect them. But you must also sit down. Look at this country. Do they represent all the churches in Zambia? That's a question we need to look at. What problem are they trying to sort out? Now, if we don't answer those questions, we will keep on going round the circles. I have a stand, and I don't think I'm going to compromise on my stand. Now, let's look at the role of the church. If you read the Bible very well, I believe many of us do read the Bible. Especially if you read the book of 1 Peter. It makes the church, it gives us that responsibility as a church to submit to governments. That's the Bible. So if we are to submit to governments, and you know, when you read that book, that First Peter, remember that time there was Nero. He was a wicked king, and the church was encouraged to submit to all governments because they are of God. It doesn't matter how wicked the king may be. In those days, says those were put by God. So now, if that is the case, it means that the leader in the country, the president of a country, everyone in the country, including the church, this may be a bitter pill to swallow, but that's what it says. Everybody in the church, including the bishops, it doesn't matter the color of our collar, whether it's white or pink or purple, all of us inclusive. If we read the Bible, we will understand that we cannot undermine the office of the president, because undermining the office of the president means that we are violating the scripture, and then it means we are not a church. I mean, that's Bible. It's not something somebody can come and school me. No. So what I'm saying here is that the president is the overall leader in the country, not bishops or pastors, evangelists, apostles, and teachers. Those are the authorities in the churches. And the moment we forget where we are supposed to lead, we are going to step on many people's lives. So, if you look at the New Testament church, it says he gave some to be apostles, some evangelists, some, of course, prophets, pastors, and teachers for the perfecting of the saints. So, those people must lead the church, not the country. If you want to control the president has got a church where he goes to. Every opposition party leader is supposed to have a church. Unless you declare openly that me, I'm a Satanist, then that's different. But everybody is supposed to have a spiritual head. So if that is the case, we cannot take the church now and say, no, the church must lead in the dialogue and reconciliation. Now, I have a problem there. Because you have combined dialogue and the reconciliation. Whom are they reconciling? Because me, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with any political leader. So that means when you are doing reconciliation, you must keep me outside the dialogue because I don't have a problem. Who has a problem? Get the people with a problem, sit down and reconcile them. But if you are going to reconcile two people as a church, you must still go back to the Bible. The Bible says, if you have aught against your brother, go to him. That's what it says. Go to him. And then the two of you reconcile. If you fail, that is when you now go to the church. If the person refuses the church, then the person is dealt as a castaway. So I'm saying, the church must give us an opportunity to go to our brothers and sit and talk. They've not done that. I've never been given an opportunity. This is why I'm saying my take is different from everybody. ZCID, bishops, we respect you. May God bless you for the work you are doing. But I'm saying, over this issue of dialogue, try to step aside. Give the political leaders an opportunity to sit and talk. If we fail to reconcile, then you can now drag us to the church. But it also depends on where you are dragging us to. It depends on where you are dragging me to. Because if you are dragging me to a place I don't fellowship, it's a challenge. I'll give you a good example. I mean, I'm not trying to be sarcastic. I'm not trying to say that I'm better than other politicians. Not at all. When we were in the dialogue, I'm sure you saw what happened. there was a brace, is it a brace?
Yes.
In front. And there was salt. And they gave an explanation. Now, I've been a Christian for a long time. I've never read about what they were explaining there. So you need to respect my belief. I have never come across, even my pastor. That night I called him, I said, my pastor, all the years you have been teaching me, you never talked to me about putting salt on the fire. That experiment, even in chemistry, I never did it. So when we went there now, and they said, all the political party leaders, come in front. You must take this salt and you throw it. Now, wait a minute. I'm not judging the people who went in front. But I'm saying, we are all doing this thing. So, and I went on the queue, and the people were watching me. I went, when I got to where the salt was, I didn't carry the salt. I just passed. I'm the only person who didn't touch the salt and put it on the fire. I have principles. I don't follow the multitude to do evil. I'm not saying that thing was evil, but I don't have a scripture backing. So I'm saying that even if the church wants dialogue, they will be introducing things that we don't know. We can't do it. That becomes a challenge. So all I'm saying is this thing of dialogue, I still emphasize, the president is the leader in the country. The church in Zambia, in every country, is supposed to submit to the powers that God has put to govern the country. If that is the case, the church can't give the president instructions. They can't. The president must be given at least given the right. Let him call for a meeting for political party leader. He has authority. This is nothing to do with whether one is PF or it has got nothing. It is a matter of principle. Acknowledge the leadership that God has put. The church must be heard in churches, not in government. So that we must separate. And I will respect the church. I will also respect governance in the nation as governance coming from God. So we need to start from there. Once we fail to agree, then we understand. But where the church takes a stance that we are the Alpha and the Omega, I'll be worried that maybe the church has an agenda here. There is something they want to promote, and I'll be skeptical. This is why I'm saying dialogue has not started. Those who are celebrating and somersaulting that the church has launched the dialogue, I am saying there is no dialogue, because dialogue must be all inclusive. You want people to reconcile. So if other people are not there, what kind of dialogue is that? So it doesn't make sense.
Now coming to the issue of the opposition alliance, now there are 12 political parties that have come together and to work together ahead of the 2021 general elections, and I think the main thing is to unseat the PF. And like yesterday, that the briefing at Intercontinental Hotel, of which they said their common goal is to, first of all, to form government as an alliance in 2021, and also to improve the economy and the living conditions of the people of Zambia. Because I want to make it clear to our viewers your relationship with this alliance, so people are able to understand. Some think you are part of that alliance. Maybe just try to make that issue clear to our viewers.
This is quite interesting. When you are saying alliance, what do you mean? Because this has not been explained. When you look at the parties that are coming together, how many of those parties are participating in by-elections? You have never participated in a by-election and you want to form government. Where? Is that how they form government? You don't form government in an alliance. You form government by proving to the nation that you have a manifesto. We need to see the manifesto of those 12 political parties. Now, this is what I need to make clear to the public. I am not part of a group, because I'm not going to go with alliance. I'm not part of a group whose agenda is to unseat another party without showing the country what they can do. I can't be part of that. I will not be part of that. We have a common fight, yes. Our enemy here is not PF. And this is what we need to understand. You see, because if we don't put things correctly, we are going to have a serious challenge. Our enemy is not PF. Because before PF, there was MMT. Are you aware that part of the PF government, you have ministers from MMT? Some of the problems we are having now were created by MMT. So now, if you rise up and say, no, our enemy is PF, we must remove PF. Let's rewind. PF also came up. We want to remove MMT. What have they done? So it's not about removing who is there. We must look at improving the lives of the citizens of Zambia. It's not PF to vote. The people to vote are the citizens. Let us not paint PF black and say, this is like this. Because we may not know the color we have. You may paint PF black and then you are yellow, all of you. And people don't like yellow. So what are you going to do? So what I'm saying is, in this thing of alliance, we have a common fight. We want to fight the Electoral Code of Conduct. We want to fight laws that are oppressive. You are not giving us a chance to have meetings. That's what we need to look at. So when you are saying an alliance, I think there's a misconception here that no, we want to form government. That means the 12 parties are going to field one candidate. I'm not part of the 12. And I will never be part of the 12 if that's our goal. Because we have the ability to participate in the elections. Now, let's look at things objectively. People say, no, it means, Mr. Chanda, you are working with PF. I am UPPZ. If you are Banda and one is Chanda, you are not the same. You may be in the same country, but you are not the same. Now, the issue here is, don't forget, Zambia has a 50+1. The 50+1 means that you must get 50+1. The possibility is there that we might not have a winner, and the opinion polls have been conducted. At the moment, there is not a single party in Zambia, including the ruling party, that can win elections without an alliance or any of the political parties, because none of them is more than 40%. Meaning that if we go into the elections, it will mean that we will have to go for the second round. And I'm saying, if you are an alliance, you have already combined, and then the other parties have stopped mobilizing. When you go to the second round, who am I going to form an alliance with? I don't know if you are following my line of thought. You have already combined a team. You say, the 12 of us, we go into the election, and then you come out with 46%. You have already combined. Whom are you going to combine with when it's time for a rerun? That's why I've said the best way to handle this thing of, wanting to form government, whoever wants to form government, let us mobilize as individual parties. Let us work towards 2021. UPPZ, UPND, PAC, all these parties. Then when we get to the 2021 elections and we go through the first round, and it happens that there is no outright winner, during the rerun, it will be something that you can't avoid. You need to talk now, so that at the end of the day, you can work together to get the 50+1. Now, this is where it becomes dangerous. If the 12, let's group it that way. Let's group the 12 here. Then you have UPPZ, because I'm going to contest the elections as UPPZ. And then you have PF. So there are 3. And then the 12, they will pick up stones to stone Mr. Chanda. Why is he not joining the alliance? He's not a good person. You begin to call me names, and then you create enmity between the 12 and Mr. Chanda. And then it happens that come 2021, UPPZ gets this percentage, PF gets this percentage, and the alliance also gets the same percentage. And now we have to do a rerun. And you were busy casting stones on me. Who am I going to join with? So that's why I'm saying the best method, every party must mobilize. I understand some parties don't have resources, so they are now finding a hiding place. That at least they can have solace, they can become ministers, at least in their lands. Now, that's a good dream. But I've got a bigger dream. And the bigger dream is I want to be the next president. And I have what it takes. So all I'm saying here is that I will not join a group. Now, people say, Mr. Chanda, you are selfish. Why can't you join your friends? How can you call me selfish? Because the people are saying we can win elections alone. So why do they need me? They can go ahead. And then on the other hand, we have 2.5 years remaining before the elections. And then you come together. The manifesto is, let us remove the other party. Are you going to have reconciliation? Because in that process now, the enmity will increase. You have to become antagonistic. Then it makes the dialogue and everything useless. Because you'll be fighting now. You have started the fight now until 2021. We must kick this one out. Kick this one out. How are you going to dialogue? It disturbs and frustrates the process. Let us reunite this country. Let us work as individual political parties. Let us look at things that are wrong. Let's see how we can fight and ensure that we bring sanity. Now, when you look now at the dialogue, who are supposed to be the participants? And I think this is where I'm also differing with everybody. You cannot have a dialogue without Zambia police. How? Because Zambia police has a problem. They are the people who give us permits. The IG and his group, they must be part of the dialogue. That is the correct way of resolving this impasse. Apart from that, bring ECZ. Are you aware that the mess we are in right now is caused by ECZ? So ECZ must be seated, their director must be seated there, so that when we are dialoguing, because I have a problem with the ECZ, so reconciliation. And I want to tell the church now, the mother bodies, church, me, I have a problem with ECZ. You can reconcile me with ECZ. So if you keep away ECZ, I'll still have a problem. I have a problem with the IG. I have a problem with him because he has refused to give me a permit. I don't have a problem with the President Lungu. You say, yes, he's the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. That's true. But we want the people given the responsibilities to be there so that we can talk to them. And then on the other hand, the church, are you aware that must be part of the dialogue? Not to lead. The bishops, I want them seated in the dialogue. You know why? Because some of us as political party leaders, we have bought beer and made their members drunk. So we have made the church to backslide. In Mangango it happened. PF bought beer for everybody, even in new drunkards, they started drinking. So the bishop must be angry, must go to the dialogue and say, look, you political parties, there's no way you can be destroying our work. I was praying and fasting for 1 month and this person got saved, and look at how thin I am. And after I prayed for this person, he stopped drinking. Then during the elections, you bought beer for him. So my fasting is wasted. We want the church part of the dialogue so that they can tell us what we must not use in campaigns. So the church can't be in front there when they also have a problem. So church must be part of the dialogue. Police must be part of the dialogue. And apart from that, we also want the security wing to be part of the dialogue. And I think I'm being a little bit, complicated now. We want the security wings, especially the director of intelligence. We want him part of the dialogue. And ask me, why do you want him part of the dialogue? He must tell us why they use office of the president in elections. Go to Sasheke. Do you know that office of the president sent over 100 officers? Not to go and maintain law and order, no, but to go and participate to advance one political party. We want the director of intelligence in the meeting. He must tell us. So ECZ is now OP. Because go to the elections. Are you aware that sometimes you have over 90% people managing elections from OP and not from ECZ? Those are the people I want in the meeting. Now, when you look at the groups I've mentioned, are you aware now that you cannot have a dialogue without the president? The president is the head of these groups. So if those groups come and then the president is there, we can now face the president and say, Your Excellency, this is our concern. And then he can be able, we can discuss and say, no, we are not going to do this. And the problem will be solved. But if we now do the cat and mouse kind of, dialogue, it will lead us nowhere.
Okay. Now, coming to the issue of the newly proposed mine tax regime, I think there was some uproar last year with some mines threatening to retrench some of their miners. And we've seen Rwansha Copper Mine, Mopani, and FQM have maintained that they will not go ahead and retrench their workers despite this tax which will take effect this year. What is your party's comment regarding this newly proposed mine tax regime?
I have a few reservations, and one of the issues I have is the current problem we have is not about how much tax. Tax is not the issue. And I think we are moving too fast and we are missing cardinal points. The current problem we have in this country with the mining companies is the inability by the government to monitor activities that these mining companies are involved in. We don't have the capacity. I'll give you a very good example. We have some Chinese investors. Well, let me not call them investors. Chinese company, construction company. The company that was contracted to build Levi Mwanawasa. They came from China. They built offices by Levi Mwanawasa in Indoro. And Levi Mwanawasa was complete. It was completed. Do you know what those Chinese did? They came as contractors. They got involved in mining. As I'm telling you, today, as we are seated here, they are still using offices at Levi Mwanawasa free of charge. They don't pay. No rent. A foreigner comes into my country, 10 years, doesn't pay rent, and you've got a government in place. I've never seen it anywhere in the world. Never. When you talk about withholding tax, whatever it is, those are foreigners enjoying Zambia as a tax haven. So they got involved into mining, and they were mining gemstones. Now, and they brought in equipment. They partners with some Zambians, of course. Are you telling me that those people have paid tax before? Never. They have never paid any tax. So, if they have not paid tax, do you see that the problem is not the mines owners? The problem is our government, our inability to monitor the activities. I can boldly tell you that Zambia doesn't know which minerals it exports. They don't. We don't know. We have grouped all our minerals to copper. Cobalt is copper in Zambia. All these other minerals. And there's no one to monitor. The president was in China a few weeks ago. I mean, it's a month or so. And he got into this company, and the owners of that company said, we import cobalt from Zambia worthy $20 million every month. And the government doesn't know. So we are incapacitated as a country. And what these, especially our Chinese brothers, what they have been doing now, they make copper, not the copper cathodes, no. They make something like a dish, then they put copper there, they call it semi-processed copper. They are very clever. There is gold there. There are all the other minerals. But when they get to the border, it is known as semi-processed copper. So these minerals are leaving the borders as semi-processed, and yet they know. So when they are paying tax, they are not paying the tax on gold. The prices are different. They are paying on copper, which is even semi-processed. Maybe they even pay less. They will tell them that, no, that thing we carried, when we took it where we were processing, some of it is waste. So we can't pay all of it. So there is that problem. So I am saying the government must sit up. We need to monitor the activities. We must know how much of these minerals are leaving the country. Now, how we can make things change? If we take some minerals out of the country, like these investors, we are expecting them to remit the money back into Zambia. That's where their company is. Don't tell me that it's an international company. It's an international company, but exporting copper from Zambia. This is where their operations are. So government has failed, totally failed to be able to put systems in place. That's why I'm disappointed. They go and change uniform as ZRA. A uniform will not do anything. It will still be semi-processed copper. What we needed was technologically advanced methods of monitoring what's happening. But those things are not there. So the issue of tax, as far as I'm concerned, we have failed to collect the little tax. Are we going to manage to collect the bigger tax? So we are not doing the correct thing. That's why, as UPPZ, our first responsibility will be to bring sanity in the mining sector.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the issue of construction a bit. And the president, I think a few weeks ago, directed the Minister of National Housing and Infrastructure to make the 20% subcontracting legal, and said they should start a process to come up with an SI that also increased from 20% to 30% of subcontracting. And now we have some of our contractors who, after being given those contracts, they still go ahead and sell them to some Chinese companies that are getting more contracts in this country. Maybe regarding the issue of making the subcontracting legal aspect, maybe what's your comment? And also your advice to those that get those 20% to perform so that they get more of such contracts from the government.
You see, the issue here, basically, it's not to do with the percentage. It has to do with our political will. Are we sure that what we are proposing, we can do it? We have given AVIC all the contracts. There's no subcontracting them. They have the monopoly. They are like ZESCO. And they are given the powers by the powers that be. So when you are saying, we need to subcontract, we need to do this, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't make sense. The thing here, which we need to face, there is nothing wrong with the Zambian contractors. Because look at most of the labor force, it's the Zambians. The problem is the attitude of those that sign on contracts. They demand a cut. Chinese are easy. That's why we are using them. Because those ones will tell them, this one is mine, okay, this one is yours. They don't have a problem. They will just say bigger boss. They bring a briefcase. This briefcase is for bigger boss, and it ends there. But I'm saying, what has been happening is these so-called people that are involved in the signing of contracts. If it's a Zambian, these same people will tell you, Iwe, contract. I'm the one who made you to be given the contract. So I need 15%. And there's no money laundering by the Anti-Corruption Commission. So I must give 15% to the boss. And he wants the money up front. So the money I remain with, I can't do anything. This is why Zambians also decided, since now this is why there is a problem. So the challenge is not with the contractors. The problem is with the people that sign those contracts. They demand more for nothing. And this is what Zambia needs to work on. This is what the president needs to sort out. I mean, think about it. Most of our Zambian contractors, till today, they are not paid. But the foreigners are paid. Are you aware that when you pay a foreigner first, the money goes out of the country? But if you pay a Zambian first, the money will remain in the country. So those are the things. It's not about giving instructions. We must lead by example. We must be able to say, this is what we want, and let's follow that. Zambians, they deserve not 20%, they deserve 100%. Give the foreigner 20%. We can do it. We can do it. All it needs is a leader that can trust the Zambians and encourage them. They need encouragement. We can do these things. I mean, we can do the roads. We can do these street lights. But you don't give us an opportunity. Right now, are you aware that I have a company? I can make desks for all the schools in this country. I have a company. And I've got the people that can do that. But government will never give me a contract because of my color. They don't trust this color. This government doesn't trust that Mr. Chanda can do it. But I can do it. I can supply all the schools in this country, but they would prefer giving it to a Chinese. And that is something we need to work against.
Okay. Now, finally, Mr. President, also the issue of the farmer input support program, we had the issue of the e-voucher system, but now, in the last farming season, there were some challenges with the card issues, and now government were running both sides, the old system and the e-voucher system, side by side. How do you rate, maybe the performance of these two systems in this farming season?
I think we don't have a plan as a country. We always want to implement things that will not work. Inputs they don't get to the people on time. So basically, all the systems are a flop. We need to overhaul them if we want food security to be fine. So basically, I'm saying I'm giving them a 2 out of 10. We need government to sit down. We've got technocrats. They need to sit and look at things that don't work. Who are the beneficiaries? See how much is abused. We have a situation where somebody took, I think for 20 people and collected the inputs. And those people are crying because he took their cards. So these are things that are not working out. The government needs to relook into this and ensure that the poor of the poorest do not become victims of, policies and things that cannot help us.
Okay. Maybe also on the issue of the social cash transfer, how do people do it different from the way it is being done now under the current government?
The issue of social security is important. We need to look at what we can do to improve. We have a different strategy that we are going to use. I think it's a combination of social cash transfer and other things that we want to put into place. Now, what we want to do, for instance, as UPP said, in trying to uplift the living standards of especially our old people. We want to give them free seats and free fertilizer. There will be a certain age that we will do that. So we will look at the various ages. So for the senior citizens, we will not need anything from them. That will be part of what we have to give them. They will use labor to get food. So that will be supplementing for them. So if they want to sell, we know this is what we can give without anything to get back from them. Then we'll now look at the various age groups. Those especially in the rural areas. We will know for this age group, because they are active, we can give you so much, but we need so much from you. We need so many bags from you. The rest of the bags go and sell. Now, if we do that, it will encourage people to work hard because they know out of this, because there will be a system that we are going to follow. If you don't give us the bags you are supposed to give us, then the following year, you are cut off the system. So this is something that can be done and we can be able to monitor. But when you bring out things that are not workable, it's a challenge. So we definitely have to relook at this social cash transfer. We don't want to benefit the distributors of the money, because that's the case now. There has been a lot of abuse because the focus is the people we are giving, they also have to get salaries. How do you pay somebody to give money to somebody else? It doesn't make sense. So those are things that we want to relook into.
Okay. Maybe under a minute and a half, maybe your concluding remarks, just based on what we have discussed this.
I want to appeal to all the parties that are participating in the Sesheke by-elections. Let's leave peace there. We found peace there. It's not a secret. Before we went to Sesheke, there was no record of violence on TV or on radio. So we must not import or export violence to Sesheke just because we want to win the seat. Those people were mourning. So we can't go into their bedroom and begin to scatter their peace. That is not helpful. So I want to appeal to all the presidents of the various political party leaders. Let us bring order to our cadres so that they must respect the peace that we found in Sesheke.
Thank you for coming, Mr. President, to this interview.
Thank you so much.
Okay. This has been the Society, which comes to you every Wednesday right here on Liberation TV. And my guest was Mr. Charles Chanda, who is the President of United First Press and Peaceful Zambia. And we are looking at UPPZ's projections for 2019. And among issues, we looked at the Sesheke by-election, the dialogue process, the newly proposed mine tax regime, the alliance that had been formed by 12 opposition political parties, as well as the FISIP and the social cash transfer. Join me next week, same time. God bless you, and continue watching Liberation TV.
Claimed that were forged signatures. Maybe you remember some of the calculations.
While chief and the body policy should not participate in partisan politics.
Pakateka na Kwaka Injito, its preoccupation now is to give a good service to the people of Zambia.
Kuzisa abana bange kuba nibyo niri pano so nirabana kunyumva uko